Hey, this is Jay with Royal Land Company. We've got a new property that we wanted to make a video for. Well, technically, it's not a new property. We've had it for a little while, but we're just now getting around to marketing this thing and decided it's time to sell it. As you can see on our website, the name of the property is your personal HaHa Tonka camping spot. And if you're not familiar with HaHa Tonka State Park in central Missouri, I'm going to tell you a little bit about that too. So, as always, here's Google Earth. Over here's Kansas City, St. Louis, Springfield down here to the south. Our property is located in Camden County, right in central Missouri, just south of Lake of the Ozarks. Here's Camdenton. Highway 54 comes out of Camdenton back to the west, and off of Highway 54 is Highway D, like dog. Goes back down to the south. And HaHa Tonka State Park is located right in here. I don't use other people's stuff very often in these videos, but there was a couple of pictures that I wanted to make people aware that haven't ever gone and hiked the trails. I mean, this is a real picture from down there. It's the whole area is just beautiful. So if you're into to hiking and parks and stuff like that, um, whether you care anything about this property at all, you need to go down there to HaHa Tonka. But regardless, we bought this 5 acre property, and it's actually closer to 5.5 acres back this last winter. We were really excited. It is right off of Highway D, about 3 miles down to the state park. We had some great plans for this property of maybe setting a structure on it to go ahead and make it somebody's little personal retreat. As you can see, it's right off the highway. But the bad news right off the bat that we talked to MoDOT and were informed that they would not issue a driveway permit due to the site radius off of these curves where our property is. And they also have a minimum linear footage of road frontage that you have to have for a driveway permit that this property does not meet. So here is all the warnings with bells and whistles that I can tell you that this property is not a good property if you're looking to set a home, if you want to anything to where you're expecting to be able to set a permanent driveway off of the highway onto this property. MoDOT is not going to allow it. I'm telling you that right now, right here. All of that being said, this is still a really cool property. It just has that one nasty feature about it. I'm going to kind of pivot us around here and show you a couple other things on it. Come down. When I first looked at this property on satellite, I was like, man, I don't even know that I want this thing. It's a big old ditch right here off the road. But then we drove to it and went and walked this thing, and it's really cool. That as you can see, there's this ridge that runs right along this property, from the front back to the back of it, and so it makes it a pretty easy walk back into there. If I come on around, you can see that you can just follow this ridge all the way. But by far the best feature of this property, if I come around to this other side of it, is this little natural clearing here. It's kind of like a little cedar grove. And you're able to walk that ridge, and the woods kind of thin out here. And we went and saw this thing probably in March sometime, early spring when all of the spring flowers were just starting to come into bloom, and it was straight out of a movie. That we really fell in love with this property and talked about just keeping it. Then we learned about the driveway and everything else. But to be honest with you, what's kind of prompting this? My daughter went down and went camping there with her boyfriend last weekend, and she took some really good pictures of the property. And it kind of invigorated me to go ahead and utilize her good pictures that she took and let somebody get a hold of this thing that's going to use it. So let me show you the pictures. We'll come into those. So this is right off of the road. There's kind of a little opening in the woods that you can drive across the ditch. You need some ground clearance, probably four-wheel drive if it's been muddy. I've been to this property 3 times probably. Have driven across the ditch, and I've also parked in the big gravel parking lot of the apartment right across the street. This is an apartment complex. We parked just right up here by the road, and that's because we were only here for an hour, if that. I would certainly think it would be worth a conversation with maybe the apartment manager or somebody, and see if you could work out a parking fee of some kind to be able to park there and just walk across the highway and come down to your property. Seems like the easiest way to do it. Or if you've got a big truck and want to drive across the ditch, you can certainly do that. But anyway, so here is just going into the woods from the highway, backing a little bit further, and you can kind of see this ridge, that it's downhill to both sides, but the ridge itself is pretty easy walking, not a bunch of undergrowth. Like I said, this is a real recent picture. And so this is back towards the back. Here's kind of the clearing over here to the left side of this picture. There's a thin spot in the woods right off of it where they decided to pitch tent. And, it's a great picture. So they set up a little campfire. And then early the next morning, she took this next picture. So this is that little cedar glade, and kind of the early morning haze. You can still see, even in August, it's got the little flowers, thin spindly grass everywhere. This is a little bit later in the afternoon, and then kind of over to the right, and then she did a panoramic shot of that whole thing. And so, without a doubt, this is a beautiful property. It's probably one of the best views of any property that we've ever had. But it comes with that downside of not being able to have a driveway permit granted by MoDOT. So that is a rub, and that's why this price is what it is. So for less than $1,000 an acre, because it's a 5.5 acre tract, we're selling it for $5,000. We certainly are not going to make any money on this thing. Probably going to lose a little bit of money. With that in mind, we don't want to owner finance it. We don't want to lose money over a long period of time. We just soon to take the hit, get this one off our books, and move on down the road. So this one will not be eligible for owner financing. But somebody's going to get a heck of a great deal on a really cool property. Without a doubt, this one is going to sell really, really quick. So when you see this video, if you have any interest at all, give me a call, send me an email, shoot me a text, and I can get you a map. Or feel free to go out there and just look at the property. I mention it in the property description. And talked about it earlier. If you just drive by this property on the road, you're missing the whole thing. That you got to park and get out there and walk this thing to appreciate it. And as soon as you do, without a doubt, you're going to agree with me that this is a really great property. So go see it, get in touch with me, and I can make it yours for a very, very reasonable rate. Thank you. I appreciate it. Hope you have a great day.